What is up, dipshits? JJ back here with Holden, talking a little college basketball for another Sunday. Holden, we're trying to avenge ourselves from last week. I know we ended up going 0-2 last week, and that's what we do here. We always recap. We're not just here for the wins. I will say, though, since he felt like late, I should have hit it. But, is what it is. Cue the tiny violins, right? Overall, though, happy to be back for another week. And this week, actually, based on the slate and some of the games, we're actually we don't have any picks from the Big Ten, Holden. You got to be able to enjoy that, right?
Fuck the Big Ten. Fuck them in the ass. Fuck them in the face. Fuck them all around. I hope all of them lose in the first round of the tournament. Never want to talk about it again. Sure, we're going to talk about it on this show. Pardon my mouth, but I'm pretty furious with the Big Ten, and I hate it.
I still think that there's some live odds that we get 8 Big Ten teams in the Sweet 16. So I know that we don't like the Big Ten because they beat up on each other all year, but in the conference tournament, in the Big Dance, I think that the Big Ten holds true. But we'll see.
Keep believing that, JJ. Keep believing that, buddy.
We'll see. I mean, we'll be on these shows. You'll be able to make fun of me or whatever if it doesn't come. All right. So the 3 games we're gonna at least discuss in some level of detail. I say some because my breakdowns aren't always as good as Holden's. You guys, that's how it usually works. So we're going to talk on Cincy, East Carolina. That's where my pick's going to be. Drake, Loyola, where Holden's pick's going to be. Then we'll also talk on Baylor, Texas Tech. We will talk a little bit on Michigan State, and then maybe 1 or 2 other of these conference tourney games. But Holden, how was your week?
Just totally shitty. I'm in a cooler. It's as much as that. But guess what? The games I didn't bet the Big Ten yesterday, I won. Hit a little over on that late night Wyoming UNLV game. That was fun.
There you go. That's like the Hawaii
football. Looked good, by the way. Really good. Are they going to do anything? No. I mean, they're going to get smoked, but still, they looked really good last night. I was pretty impressed.
Wyoming?
Yeah.
They speed the game up.
They chuck threes, dude, and they were hitting them last night. Yeah. It was a lot of fun to watch that. So you got a few games you want to get into. Let's get into the early game then. Get people ready for it. We got Cincinnati and the East Carolina Pirates. In Spanish, that is Pirates. Did you know that?
Now I do. That's why I come on the show to learn.
Correct.
These types of things. It's these random facts for what keeps me coming back, Holden.
I feel really, really bad about saying the F word so many times off the top of the show on a free show. So I apologize for that, especially if your children were around, but they need to learn it sooner than later. I'd say by 6 years old, your child should have said every single bad word in the book. So
it's like Santa Claus, right? I mean, ultimately we all get to that point, right?
Don't ruin that, buddy. Don't ruin that one.
Oh, so that's where you draw the line. So the curse words.
No, actually, here, let me just tell you this. When she was 2, my ex told her that Santa Claus wasn't real. And I said, she's like, she's going to learn sometime. I'm like, that's the worst thing ever. And then I said something about her. She's like, don't tell her he's not real. I was like, screw you. All right, what's up, guys? Let's just get to the games. I'm cranky. This is like 2 or 3 straight days of crankiness. Let's get off the schneid here, buddy. Cincinnati -2, taking on East Carolina. The total here is 138. The money line, if you want to back Cincinnati, would be -134, +112 with the Pirates. So, my friend, what do you got on this game right now?
Now, this will be the 3rd straight week that on this Sunday live show, I've given out a Cincinnati game play, whether it was Houston's team total from a few weeks ago, last week, Cincy plus the points. This week, though, they play East Carolina in what I believe is their last game of the season. In East Carolina. At 138.5, I really like this over. And I say 138.5 because I'm looking at a few different lines. Looks like pending your book, DraftKings is 138. FanDuel has 138.5. Either way, all good on my end on 138.5 as well. For me, Cincinnati, since their return from their kind of lengthy break, they've just been almost like a nut over team. They play a bunch of slower teams in this conference, and those games always seem to shoot out. They just really speed up the teams they're playing now. They played Memphis in a game that I don't think a lot of people thought could shoot out or would shoot out because of how good Memphis plays defense and how Cincinnati kind of struggles to get up good shots. But that goes over. Vanderbilt, Cincy at what that end up at 142. That had to go over. I can't imagine that total was more than 142. This is just a team that's playing good offensively. They're not nearly as good defensively as they appear. I know that I look at some of their stats and it's like, sure, they hold teams to 32% from three, but there's not a lot of good three-point shooting teams in this conference. And East Carolina, to their credit, and I know that you might look at them and they're another team that kind of plays better defense. They kind of like to hang in the 60s, but expect Cincinnati to really speed this team up. And East Carolina, when they've played teams that kind of like to run, they have no problem either giving up a lot of points or end up scoring a lot of points. A game they had with Memphis a while back ended up really shooting out. Then they play Memphis again. It played a little slower, at least score-wise, but tempo was still very similar. This team has no problem running. And the big thing for me, or one of the biggest things for me, is assists per field goals made in this game. These are two of the better teams, believe it or not, in the country in that category. And they're also two of the worst teams in the country giving up in that category. What does that mean? That more or less means that these teams move the ball really well and get good looks at the basket, as you know, they pile up assists, and on the defensive end, they end up giving up a lot of assists. So I should expect to see a lot of good looks here. These teams don't exactly live and die with the three either, which is something I always like. Both these teams rank outside the top 200 in D1. When I bet an over, I don't like to live and die with the three, because ultimately, believe it or not, a lot of overs you'll end up hitting or unders you'll end up hitting are based on teams or certain teams that live and die with the three. These two teams don't exactly fire it all that much. And they do a lot of their work inside, and especially from the free throw line. And speaking of the free throw line, both these teams worse than 300 in D1 in putting teams at the free throw line. So hoping to see a lot of extra free throws today in this one with a lot of extra contact. Overall, I get a team in Cincy that speeds the game up. They've been playing very good offensively, and I do think they have a lot of holes defensively. East Carolina has shown some bright spots offensively this year, and while they do have above average numbers defensively, this team can certainly be had on the between the offensive glass and many other things. And East Carolina also forces a lot of turnovers, which hopefully could lead to a lot of extra baskets, because Cincinnati at times can be a true turnover machine. Overall, got this myself a little over 140, so happy to jump in at 138. And instead of back in Cincy or East Carolina in terms of the spread, much prefer the over here at 138.5.
Well, here's my only concern about this. You had East Carolina. I mean, they didn't play for like three and a half weeks. Came back. They had those 5 postponements, and then they didn't look great in the game that they came back. I think they lost. What was it? UCF they lost to? How much, if at all, did that factor into your decision to bet the over here?
So the UCF game, for me, UCF's one of these weird teams in this conference. And I say that because they're one of the few teams that plays really basically just as good offense as they do defense, and they play very slow. So there's sometimes where UCF comes out and their games will play into the 80s, and there's sometimes where their games will end up playing into the 60s. That game against East Carolina, I'm looking here. I mean, it looks like the pace was relatively fast, believe it or not, between these two. East Carolina just shot really poorly. Ultimately, I think that we get a better shooting performance from them this time around against Cincinnati. And again, we know Cincinnati's going to speed this up, adding extra possessions. So overall, a little bit, but I've been more on the side of when teams take lengthy breaks, it seems like their defense is where problems have started. We'll talk about that when we get to the Baylor end of things, because Baylor's defense, since they've come back post a little COVID break, has been really a 180 from their previous 18, 19 games in the season. All
right, good stuff. Done with that game. Let's get to the next game on the docket here. And good morning, everybody. I should have said that. Let me just give some shout outs here. Jerry, Ron, Hustle Wilson, Bobby, Benjamin, Adam. Oh, Don Yeezy, Gregory, and Adam. Don't freak out already. It's 6 points in the first 4 minutes. Houston's going to be fine. My goodness gracious. You can't start panicking this early. You can't. You got to relax, man. You're going to have a heart attack like I will within the next 10 years. The ice cream and the stress. I mean, I know I'm screwed. I'm starting, namaste, dude, breathing. Everything's fine. Why do we freak out so much in the first 10 minutes of the game? Seriously, like very few times do you know that the total is not going to hit. Yesterday, I lost the VCU total over. I knew the second that thing hit 10 minutes, there was 10 points in the game. Okay, they weren't going to score 123 over the last 30 minutes. But with that being said, we're okay with Houston. Calm them down.
There was an under I bet on Friday night where it was, I forgot, Little Rock versus Arkansas State, I believe. Was that what it was? There was, I forgot the exact shooting percentages, but it was like both teams were shooting 75% with about 25 looks in the first 7 or 8 minutes, and I had an under. I mean, the live total skyrocketed like 20 points above what the pregame total was, and the game still went under. I mean, ultimately, The reason why you bet full games and instead of first halves or overall is because the game's median out over a longer stretch. But yeah, of course, you're still going to get 4 to 5 minute. You're not going to. You're very, very rarely going to win a game wire to wire where you're like, yeah, that was awesome. It's not going to. It doesn't happen like that. But overall, yeah, talk yourself off the ledge. It's all good. Only a few minutes into these games. No need to fret.
Just so you know, in NBA news, Embiid and Simmons are officially out of the All-Star game, so adjust that accordingly. I'll just give out one play I had last night. The number moved, but James Harden over 12.5 points for this game. I think it's up to 13.5 now. I don't understand the line.
Yeah, how does he not come out? I mean, I'm not even an NBA guy, but how does he not come out firing? Doesn't he? He fires and everyone.
I don't understand it. I just think it's a bad line. Put the bet in. 2 hours later, it went up. It was already up a point. I don't know where it is, but that to me is a look. I think the Beal 15.5 is at least worth a look, but especially now, Embiid and Simmons are out, so that's going to open up some things over there. Let's stay with the college, though. I got to play. You ready for my play, buddy?
I am.
None of this Big Ten garbage. I finally learned my lesson. Okay, this is like Jonathan Taylor in the first half of last season. Just don't do it. Learn your lesson. Don't touch it. So here we go.
But much like, and not to interrupt you, Jonathan Taylor, Holden, Jonathan Taylor started the season slow, but then finished strong, much like the Big Ten will do in the bracket.
I don't know what to tell you at this point. I think you're just trolling me with the Big Ten. So here's what I like. We got Loyola Chicago. I have a futures bet on them too to get into the Final Four. So ULC, let's see here. They're giving up the least amount of points per game. They're fourth in defensive efficiency. And by the way, I mean, let me get you some of the numbers here on the spread. Where are we sitting? So the total has gone down. Just here's the problem. Now we got Loyola 8.5. They're minus 8.5. So if you like the side, you're not getting the best number. The total is 126.5. But this is what I like because the Loyola defense is just absolutely stifling. We've got 59.5 total points for Drake. I've got some issues with that one going over. I don't think it does. We've got Lucas Williamson, the defensive player of the year in the conference, the MVC, Missouri Valley Conference. He could take away anybody on Drake, and they still don't have Shanquan Hemphill. He's done for Drake. So now they're relying on Joseph Yusufu to carry the load. I think that Williamson's going to take at least, one of the two big guys out over there. Bulldogs looked a little tired in the second half. I don't know why, because they got that free pass into the semis after you and I had the COVID issues, but Bulldogs shot 3 of 16 from last night. You can't do that and get away against ULC. Loyola is playing much more relaxed since they clinched the regular season title. Drake under 59.5 is my look. 58.5 is a little bit uncomfortable. I would be fine with it though at 58.5. But all transparency, I jumped in under 59.5. I just think Loyola's defense is so shut down. It's been a nice little run for Drake, and they had the comeback last night. But this is a different class of beast that they're going up against. Drake under 59.5 is my play for the game.
Now, I'll tell you this. First of all, I can't say I don't understand the line, but it definitely is a bit head scratching for me. So first of all, and I want to be clear, I agree with you, Holden, on the play. Loyola Chicago has given up more than 58 points in a conference game one time this year, and that was against Illinois State in their first conference game of the year. They played Drake twice. The other thing for me is I know Hemphill's a big deal, but also Roman Penn. Roman, right? I don't know, last name's Penn. Yeah, Roman Penn is also out for Drake. At least I believe he is.
Yes,
he's their main facilitator offensively. So he's their main ball handler. To me, they played Drake. I think he played those last two games versus Drake. I know Hemphill didn't play, but I thought Penn played. At least I thought he played the first game. Let me see. Yeah, he played at least the first game. Mm-hmm. And they still couldn't get up a bunch of points despite having a really good first half. Loyola Chicago just really takes the air out of the basketball. And because they require you to have such good ball movement, with how tough they are against denying assists, if you will, they're so good on defending the offensive glass. They don't foul. They're the number one ranked defense as per KenPom. They force a ton of turnovers. This defense is just so disciplined. It almost makes you think like Porter Moser. I mean, at what point does he get out of this school? Like, nothing against Loyola Chicago, but I mean, does this guy take the next step and move to like an SEC school or one of these other bigger schools? Much like the Nate Oates did with Buffalo. I mean, Nate Oates was super good with Buffalo for a few years, and then took the big gig at Bama. We're going to see something similar with this. Either way, just a tremendous head coach and tremendously disciplined on defense. I do like the call a lot. Again, it would take some heroic efforts from Drake to get over this number today based on, the numbers are right in front of you. I mean, this team hasn't given up 58 points in a game since December 27th, and it was 60 total points they gave up. So, they're going to really try to slow this game down. And I don't know if Drake just has enough scores to do it. Now, ultimately, how does Drake win this game? Drake wins this game by keeping it lower scoring, believe it or not, because I don't think if this game shot out, Loyola Chicago's got much better scores if it came to it. But yeah, I like the call a lot.
Well, what do you think about 58.5? See, I got it in at 59.5. I do think that 1 point could be big in this total. I do not see Drake getting to 60. That's the one thing, though. Again, this Loyola defense is just too damn good. And they can guard much better teams than this completed Drake team, too. What do you think about that 1 point?
I think it matters. I think 59 or 59.5 would have been big. Because again, the most points this team's given up in conference has been 60 points. So, if it does become like a foul fest late, or maybe Drake hits, because that's the big thing, right? Ultimately, you'd argue that maybe first half it'll probably play slower, maybe. But, if this becomes a foul fest late where it's close enough, that 7-8 point area where Drake's fouling, hitting threes late, you might run into a bit of an issue there with how low that number is. But I mean, Loyola Chicago, like teams just don't score 60 against this team. It just doesn't happen. Now it could happen today, of course, but it would just take really good shooting from Drake because this game's not going to get sped up. So it would just take really good, efficient shooting for them to get there.
Okay, cool. Hey, if you guys got any questions about games, by all means, hit us up. We can do that. We got no problem with that. Are you dabbling in NASCAR today? No, I am not dabbling in NASCAR today. If I tailed anything, it would just be Kegger, and I got too much college hoops today. And I still got to get some bets in for the NBA tonight. So no, you in NASCAR today?
No, I might pop in Jay's video though for a bit today. But other than that, no, it won't be. I won't be making NASCAR bets. I mean, ultimately, I'll tell what he says, but I'm not going to be making my own.
Jerry Spoto, what do you guys think of Maryland -6 tonight? Is Maryland in the Big Ten? Yeah, yes.
It's like one of those, like one of those flow charts, right? Like is said team we're being asked about in the Big Ten? Yes. Yeah. We have no take. We have no take on the game.
No take. Andrew has it at Iowa, Illinois, Chicago, Michigan parlay at +120. Okay. Money line parlay. Okay. I hate Iowa. I will never bet. I will never back Iowa. Is all I'll say. But on the money line, that's not a bad bet at all. -7.5, and then you're taking them on the money line. What was the total that you're getting here? +120. What do you think of that parlay? Little 3-teamer.
You need 3 bets to win, to cash.
Good analysis.
I'm not. Thank you. That's what I mean. That's what you probably come here for, right? 3-team parlay means you need to hit 3 bets. Three teams need to win for you to win your bet. I'm not in love with it just because those 3-team parlays are always extra vague. I mean, ultimately, you're talking a line. In that case, I don't know the exacts of what you got, but if you have those 3 teams at +120, the realistic odds are probably closer to like +180, +175. So as far as what it should pay, but ultimately, yeah, of course it could hit. It could hit. I do think Michigan State's got some bite in them today, though. So we'll see.
There's some parlay boosts too. I think BetMGM has a nice little parlay boost if you've been betting on them. So check that out, and that might help your odds out a little bit. Although it seems like you already put the bet in. F and Bob is riding with you. JJ -110. That must be the Cincinnati one. Ron got under 138 in that game. Thoughts on that one? Cincinnati?
Well, I mean, I liked the over there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was.
He doesn't like that.
Yeah,
he said he means the over. He got the over in 138. Okay. Oof. Little freaky there. You just listen to JJ do it and you bet the other way. I mean, what are we doing?
I can respect it though. At least it comes on. I mean, if it was the case, he came on. He was like, you know what? All due respect, I disagree. It's better than the people that after the fact are like, that was a good call. When it loses. Well, by the way, speaking of loses, I think the St. Joe's play that I did as the play on Thursday, I think that might have been the worst play I've ever given out. I mean, as far as the way the game played out in the loss, yeah, I think it might have been.
I was pissed off. I was at the gym. I think I benched more than I benched in about 10 years. But trust me, it's not on you. It was definitely on me. Like, you have to do your own research. The process was there. Everything was good. And then the player shit the bed. So what am I going to do? And it worked out. Like, my chesticles are gigantic.
I think UMass just shot the lights out of the ball. Hey, you just kind of got to respect it. I mean, it was
and guys are getting back in. They're like plus 16.5, plus 21.5. I'm going, no, just go away, man.
I'm like, don't step in front of this UMass team today. This team would beat, some NBA teams today from 3. Don't step in front of this UMass team today.
You think the Loyola Drake game goes under 126? I had a little lean there, but I mean, Loyola could go over there. They're not explosive offensively. I don't think it's a horrible play. I just think if that thing goes under, if you think it goes under, then Drake's going under.
Yeah.
That's why I took Drake. If you think it's going under. Kevin Clunan, what up, Kev? Northwestern -7 or any first half thoughts on Northwestern? Again, why are we doing this?
It's like deja vu, Holden. We find ourselves back in the Big Ten.
Like
we're trying to get
away from it.
Trying to get out, and we just get our ankles dragged right back into the Big Ten.
Did you not hear my opening monologue, which was one of the shortest I've ever given? I'll say it again then. Fuck the Big Ten, fuck them in the ass, and fuck them in the face. That is my official stance on the Big Ten. So go for it. You want to do something about Northwestern? My friend, take it away from here. I want nothing to do with that. And then look, Michigan State over 137.5. You guys are something else. I don't even think you're trying to troll me at this point. Good luck if you're having success in the Big Ten. Keep going with it. JJ, thoughts? Northwestern -7 or first half.
First of all, Northwestern. I haven't made one bet all season on Northwestern. And if you're going to bet the Big Ten, why would you want to bet the 2 bad teams in the Big? Like, why would you want to bet that game? I mean, like, we don't like to bet the good teams in the Big Ten. Why do you want to bet 2 of the bad teams in the Big Ten?
Don't do it. Kevin's like, sorry, too bad. I just tuned in. LOL. All right, so my official stance is don't bet the Big Ten. All right, I learned my lesson. Even JJ's on not. Well, I don't know. You might have a Big Ten bet today, so we'll get into that in just a second. Okay. Kevin was also on St. Joe's, and his bookie charged him double for the loss.
Well, that's a good thing though, Kev, because maybe that bookie gives you double on the big wins. You might like that, actually. I might like that.
What up, Eric? What up, D? Michigan State over 137.5. Let's just get into that one, since this is what I feel like some of the guys want to talk about, right? You wanted to talk about Michigan and Michigan State, one of the best rivalries out there when one of these teams is good.
Sure. So
Michigan -8, totals 137. And if you want to if you really wanted to get crazy and go Michigan State on the money line, it's plus 300. What's your thoughts on this one, JJ?
Yeah, so these 2 teams just meet, right? Michigan romps them. This one's going to be in Michigan State's gym, though. I mean, for me, it's a pretty strong lean in favor of Michigan State plus the points. I don't love this play, but it definitely is a strong lean for me at 8. If this was to climb to 8.5 or 9, I'd feel better about it. But at 8. So the reason for me, Michigan State at home has been a really, really different team than on the road. And it's been much like that for most of the Big Ten, which is one of the reasons why the Big Ten is just not a fun conference to get behind. At home though, as I look up and down, I mean, Michigan State's had like a few like head scratching losses. Like the Iowa loss was head scratching, but they lost by 30 at home. But then they kind of seemed to figure things out where they went on their little winning streak where they beat Indiana on the road. They win at home against Illinois. They win at home against Ohio State. And like people start to think, wow, this team's really turning the corner. And then they throw a dud at Maryland, win back at home against Indiana, another dud here at Michigan. But now back home again. This team's kind of like a hold down the fort type of team, much like UCLA. By the way, UCLA yesterday didn't even have their best player and still won on that court against a good USC team. There are just certain teams, and I know that there's no home crowds. We talk about this, I feel like, every week, Holden, but there are just certain teams that still play really, really well in their own gym. Michigan State's one of those teams now. Considering they just played this team, I'd expect Izzo to have a little better game plan here in this one. Ultimately, it's a big number for me, and I know they just lost by a lot. And I know Michigan's like the cream of the crop these days in college basketball as far as people thinking, this team has a really good shot to win it all this year. I mean, top 6 offense, top 4 defense as per KenPom. This team has a complete team that exists in college basketball today, even with including Gonzaga. However, last game of the season in Michigan State, is it also senior day, maybe Michigan State? I mean, that's usually
it's the last game. It's senior day, man.
Nice little narrative for those guys. But ultimately,
can I just say something real quick? Here's the deal. Like you've got, and this happened. I don't remember the game that it happened in, but you got these seniors and they're getting pulled out of the game with like 5 minutes left if it's a blowout, right? Or if it's even like a 12-point game or a 14. These seniors are getting pulled early. So if it's a senior dominated team, like the last few minutes of the game could be a real sweat if it's in the balance.
No, 100%. I mean, I'll tell you what, senior day banged me with the Cincy play last week because the game started. They started with 5 seniors who played a total of like 8 minutes all season. And the game started with 4 turnovers in Memphis.
Sure. Beginning of the game too. Yeah. By the way, real quick, Houston has 10 points through the first 9 minutes. You're not allowed to freak out for at least another minute. Okay. Everybody chill out.
after 10 minutes, everybody can start to freak out.
Right. Not at 9 minutes. 9 minutes is nothing. Houston hits a 3. We're fine. Everything's cool. They'll battle back and it'll be great. You haven't said any bad words yet. I've said some really crude things. Can you say a bad word and then we can just get back to this?
I started the show with dipshits, Holden.
Fine point.
So we're good. I've already checked my box for my foul language. Now, granted, I might sneak 1 or 2 more in, but ultimately, So ultimately, I know that from a matchup perspective, it makes a lot of sense. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to back Michigan again. But Michigan State's just a different team at home. So for me, I like Michigan State catching 8.5. It's a lean for me. Again, 8.5 or 9 would be where I'd really want to jump in. But again, if you want a perspective from it, for me, it's Michigan State plus the points at home, as they are just a much better team there versus on the road.
KSX, if you having Big Ten success, you're a lying sack of shit. I'm sure some guys are hitting it pretty well. It's been very rude to me recently. Getting a lot of questions on this Baylor game, and I know it's one that you are really interested in going up against Texas Tech. Baylor -8. Let's see here. Total's 136.5. I mean, it's just about even money, but it's slightly shaded to the over. -112, -108 on the under. Do you think Texas Tech can win this thing straight up plus 300?
I'm not sure.
I was going back on this thing, back and forth on this thing this morning. Baylor's starting to play much better basketball, but since they came back off the COVID layoff, they didn't look good against Kansas. Then that first half after the Kansas game, they didn't look great, but Texas Tech's a good team, man. Don't sleep on the Red Raiders. This is a tournament team, but on the road against the number 3 team in the nation, what do you think about this one?
So here's the bet I would like, and I assume their team total is like 66.5. I don't know. Do you have the numbers in front of you for team?
I'll get it for you. You wanted which? Baylor's team total?
Texas Tech
team total. Give me 1 second. I'll get it for you.
Baylor, I'm not sure if you guys or how many of you guys have watched their games since they've come back from the lengthy break. This team defensively is a whole different team.
64.5.
So 64.5 for me is such a good spot for Texas Tech's team total over. And I say that because, so first of all, since Baylor's come back from the lengthy break, and I'm just trying to pull up the numbers here, they've given up at least 70 points in every game since they've returned. And they've played, I mean, that ain't even included Iowa State. Oklahoma State just got there late, but, I mean, there was a lot of head scratchingness to that game in general. I don't want to say it seemed like they wanted Baylor. The refs gave Baylor advantages, but there was a lot of 50-50 calls that seemed to go Baylor's way in the terms of offensive fouls that would have been and 1s instead. And ultimately that all translates to points. And Oklahoma State, I know, typically can run up and down the floor and speed the game up. Texas Tech isn't going to speed this game up. But one of my biggest issues with Baylor recently has been their inability defending the offensive glass. And I know that they weren't all that great at it before the break, but recently, man, they've been so bad on the offensive glass. This team in Texas Tech is not a team to screw around with on the offensive glass. And Texas Tech, the first time these two played, I think had 18 offensive rebounds. It'd be hard for me to imagine they don't not so much duplicate that, but at least get close to it. And if you think about all those extra opportunities to score, and I thought overall the pace played a little slow the first time these two met. I mean, which kind of makes sense, right? Baylor speeds the game up, but they also can kind of slow the game down on defense. Overall, though, I just think from the side of Texas Tech being able to pull down offensive rebounds. They don't turn the ball over. They draw a lot of contact. So despite this team playing slow, they typically can get themselves into the high 60s, 70s area. I know that they didn't do it the first time versus Baylor, but I'd argue that was a bit of an anomaly. Look how poorly they shot in that game. And again, this Baylor team has been giving up so many easy baskets inside the arc. And again, it's another team in Texas Tech. That's not a team to play around with. Ultimately, I think at the number 64.5, that's a really good spot to have Texas Tech's team total over.
Yeah, and Texas Tech has struggled defensively away from home for whatever reason that is. I mean, they do have a little bit of crowds in the Big 12, but I mean, they're giving up almost 40% from three-point range defensively on the road. So they're 324th in the nation, giving up three-pointers. So if you like Texas Tech over, I don't know why you wouldn't just take the Baylor over if you just take the game over too at this point.
Texas. So my only issue is this Baylor team has just offensively has been just almost just as head scratching as they've been defensively. So the Oklahoma State game, like Oklahoma State gives up open looks to everybody. Like Baylor had a ton of open looks. If I look at that game, like Baylor should have had 90 plus in that game. Okay. Then they struggle against Kansas. Iowa State, I'd argue they shouldn't even have won that game. West Virginia, I think West Virginia had a pretty late lead as well in that game. And don't get me wrong, it goes to overtime, so that kind of pads the numbers, but there was a lot of late fouling, et cetera, that pushed those numbers up. But ultimately, I haven't loved what I've seen from this Baylor offense either. Now, granted, you're right. The Texas Tech's extremely vulnerable. My only issue is from a pace perspective, Holden. I don't know. This figures to play very slow. The reason why I like Tech's over specifically is because I know that they're good on the offensive glass and they should be able to get a few extra possessions that way. They also don't turn the ball over. Baylor is more or less, for the most part, going to be a lot of one-and-done shots. So they could still get over, but Tech is so good on the glass. It's probably going to be a lot of one-and-done for Baylor. Ultimately, I think it could shoot out. I think Baylor could. I just don't want to. It wouldn't surprise me if Tech lost a 66-70 type game and it goes under.
All right. I'm staying away from that game 100%. Any other games that you would be interested in talking about today, a little bit later on in the day? But we'll definitely get to a lot of questions, too, if you guys have any questions about your bets. But any other games that are standing out to you?
There's a bunch of conference tournament games. I think some of them are tough to navigate, if you will. Yeah. Liberty's a gigantic favorite in a game that doesn't really mean much for them. They should be in. Well, I say should be in. I'd be shocked if they weren't going to be in. But now that I look up and down them, they probably need this game to get into the tournament, which is kind of crazy because this Liberty team, I don't know if you've watched a bunch of their games, Holden. This team can shoot the ball with anybody. Like they have literally so many 3-point shooters on this team. Definitely a team you're not going to want to see in the tournament if it comes to that. But ultimately, I don't want to lay 14 in a conference tournament game like that. Like Mercer VMI and in the Southern Conference, there's a few other good games as well. Games that you'd figure would be higher scoring. And then they also have the two snails, if you will, in that conference in Greensboro and Tennessee State, which should be a decent game. But I don't even think that game's going to be on television, which is kind of crazy. Because I would think that would be how is East Tennessee State and UNC Greensboro not going to be on television? And I say that because those are two of the better teams in that entire conference.
Live stream. But yeah,
ultimately. But all in all, I looked at a bunch of these games last night. There wasn't a lot that I loved. These conference tournament games, for me, it's usually either I want to bet unders or not bet them at all. You get elevated defense. Don't get me wrong, you get a little bit more egregious fouling late. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, any questions I'll take, but I didn't like anything else deeper into the afternoon.
Yeah, I was looking at a Texas TCU game just because Texas is playing a lot better basketball now. They kind of had that little funk. They came back and they beat Kansas, and then they beat Oklahoma. I mean, I don't know if you saw much of that, but boy, that Thursday night, they won that game by 4. And Oklahoma is another really good basketball team. So yeah. I looked at this. It was a very light lean, 7.5 on the road, minus 7.5 for Texas. But ultimately, I ended up fading it just because it's a conference game. TCU is not a good basketball team. I know they're 500, but they've really been struggling as of late, losing 5 of 6. But That was the only game I really thought I would have a lean, and then after doing the research, I just kind of faded it. But if you were thinking about that game, I think it's an interesting one just because of the direction the two teams are going right now, JJ.
Yeah, I can't mind it. And then Oregon State would be a spot. I'd lean Oregon State plus the points. Oregon State's just playing some of their best basketball of the season recently. And I know that now they draw the cream of the crop per se, or one of the cream of the crops in the Pac-10 or Pac-12 with Oregon. But this one's going to be an Oregon State gym, right? Yeah, it's going to be an Oregon State gym. And I know that they beat Oregon. Whoops.
Who's calling you? Who is it? Is it your dad?
No, not my dad. I don't know. I got to fix that on this computer with the phone ringing, syncing.
I know. I've had that too. The FaceTime thing, right? Pops up.
So ultimately, I lean Oregon State. They already beat this team once. They go back home, and I've seen this a bunch this year where just teams seem to have bad. They don't match up well with one team. It doesn't seem like Oregon matches up all that well with Oregon State. So ultimately, I'd lean to the grabbing the 5.5 with Oregon State.
This is why you don't freak out after 9 minutes. We now have 7 minutes left. Houston's up to 25 points. So mellow. This is why we don't freak out, guys. I know you were freaking out in the chat. A couple of you. Relax. It's all good. We're set now, right? We're all set.
Yeah, I mean, except for you putting the eyes on it. Now we go through like a 6-minute drought. But yeah,
they'll have 40 by the break. We'll be well on our way to covering this thing. I'm not worried about it. I'm trying as much positivity as possible outside of the Big Ten.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the Big Ten is the ugly guy, or the really handsome guy, I should say, that comes in and bangs your wife and then leaves. And you're like, I didn't think he could do it, but then I lost that bet because he could do it. That's my analogy for the Big Ten right now. It's a horrible.
Everything. It seems like everything for you ties back somehow to
pussy.
Wives getting banged by boyfriends, or
by me.
Yeah, or by you. Yeah,
your wife getting banged by me. Right.
Yeah, like the true alpha you are. Right.
Correct.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is calling you? Seriously, pick it up. Just pick it up and talk to him. I'm serious. Pick it up right now. Then they won't call back. Who is it?
Well, that one wouldn't have been able to be picked up. It's not even worth explaining.
Who was it? Come on. Who was it?
It's a monitoring service that's calling me.
What do you mean monitoring? Like, do you have like a USSR type of thing going on in your house? What the fuck's a monitor?
It's detailed, but it's a monitoring service from a data center that's calling me.
Whatever, dude.
Whatever you're in. I mean,
I'm not pick it up though. The next time they do it, pick it up.
I'll pick it up, and you're going to hear an automated voice talk.
That's fine.
Okay.
I get a lot of calls from the Chinese embassy because of my last name. And I'm not even kidding. And my ex. I get change on huh? And I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. Leave me alone, Chinese embassy. Stop spying on me. I have nothing on my computer but porn and sports. Now pick it up. Who is it?
Oh shit! I fucked that up. Sorry, Holden. What the?
This is when you freak out. When the guy can't pick the phone up properly, and you're trying to get a good bit out of it. It's too bad. Chris Brady, great to catch JJ and Holden. What up? Where's Twatty? Twatty's in here?
Twatty's in the house. Mr. Newtown.
Hey, what's up, Twatty? What's up, buddy? Come on back. Come on back to us. I miss you. I mean, not that much, but a little bit.
Makes two of us.
He's giving out like free cards sometimes. He's always, you talk about a guy that goes out and picks up women. This guy was out at the bar, like with women that are so much better looking than him. So,
he's a sniper.
Oh, to say the least. Very jealous of Twatty. Very jealous. He does more with less. If I did as much that he does with his stuff, it'd be great. What about Oregon State? Gene wants to know. Oregon State. Yeah,
so here's why I don't think you're listening, and you're more concerned about my phone ringing versus anything else.
You just break it down?
I broke it down 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. Did you give him a side?
Yeah, I said Oregon State plus the points.
What was I doing?
I think you were focused on who was calling me.
I was. Like, who is that? Who is the guy that is doing it? All right.
Well, I break down Oregon State a bit, talk a little bit about it, say the play I like. 2 minutes later, JJ, give your thoughts on Oregon State and Oregon. How you think
we do the Bonnie's VCU line, A10 championship. I mean, listen, I watched VCU yesterday, and I cannot stand VCU just because of what they did to me personally about 12 years ago. But let's face it, maybe it was 9 years ago. Let's face it, these guys, I don't want to deal with them. And they, to me, are the hottest team in that conference. And I have a hard time betting against them. I'll tell you that much. I don't want to mess with them. They're starting to shoot from three now. They've got a nice pace to them. When is that game, by the way?
I don't even know. I still don't see a line for it.
Yeah. I feel like it's, hold on a second. VCU. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. I don't have if you got a line, let me know.
I don't see. I mean, ultimately, I can tell you what KenPom's going to have it at, but ultimately, no, KenPom doesn't even have the game.
Yeah, let's see. 11 o'clock today, my time. Oh, it's next week, the 14th. Why do you sit a whole week and then play the championship game? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is very weird. Yeah, so I don't have anything right now. I mean, you liked St. Bonaventures, didn't you, this week? I love the way VCU's playing.
VCU's good. VCU's good. And is VCU the one that got their best player back? Is that the one?
Yeah, they got Bones Highland.
They got him back. Yeah, so they've looked better with him back too, for sure.
Yeah. So wait on that line. Let me know what you see that once it gets posted. VCU will be a little bit of a dog, but I like them. It's in Dayton next Sunday. In Dayton, interesting. What is that? Why is it Dayton?
That's probably where they're having the conference tournament. I mean.
Well, no. I mean, it was just it was really it's just a very weird situation we got going on with the COVID. They redid all things, and then we got the play-in games on what later that week, right? It's like the 18th. So I don't know what's going on there. Not a backhanded compliment, Twatty, that you do more with less. I'm just wishing that I had your acumen so that I could do more with more.
Holden wants game.
I do.
You do it right for yourself, though.
I have been. I ran a little cold last week. Got nothing. 0 puss. Had a chance with a one woman missing a tooth, but passed it up ultimately.
That was a bad decision.
What, to pass it up?
Yep.
Why?
Well, I mean, you had an empty week because of it.
I can live with that. It's either that or the one. I was invited to a swingers club, though. Can you believe that?
Wow. Mostly dudes, or?
She told me that it's mostly just beautiful people. I'm a little uncomfortable with that, though. I'm not into the swinger scene. Not yet, at least. Any chance you think you'd be involved in that? As you've been with your lady for a long time.
Oh, you mean like you show up to one of those and I'm already there? Did you imagine?
That'd be really uncomfortable.
I'm like, Holden, come on in. The water's warm. But no.
This show has obviously come to the end. JJ wants me to be at a swingers party with him. Going to pass on it. You want to hear more stories about it, Chris? Sometime, some other day. I haven't been to the swingers club. I don't know what happens there.
But yeah, thanks everybody. Unless you have any closing notes here, Holden, I think we've
no. Again, I mean, if you've been to a swingers party before, please let me know. I'm interested. I mean, I am interested. This lady is just crazy. There's like wheels and floggers and stuff. I mean, it really is crazy, JJ. But this is a college basketball show. I waited till the end, till after we did our picks.
No, and that's being respectful, Holden. That's definitely wait until the end to talk about the swinger lifestyle you want to embrace.
I don't want the swinger lifestyle. I'm telling you, I was invited to the swinger party, and it's just, again, there's way too many other dudes that are going to be there. And who really wants to be watched in the end? Not I. Not live, at least.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Really? You're into that?
No, I'm just trying to make conversation with my buddy Holden.
All right, let's end the fucking show. Hold on. JJ, what's your opinion on shortened baseball games for spring training? Can be called between 5 and 7 innings. I hate this spring training.
So yeah, and what's the deal with managers? Like they can end an inning anytime they want. Is that true?
It's 5 innings. We're like, we're done. We've got enough today. We've seen enough. They're actually bragging about playing a 9-inning game today. There was a headline. I think it was the Yankees playing 9 innings today. Yeah. F and Bob, I've been to the Swingers Club. You don't want what is there, but you would be popular. Okay.
Yeah, you got a look that would be popular at one of those types.
Now, would I be popular with women? Because that's why I would go. My question. Yeah, they can end innings with 2 outs. I know the whole baseball spring training thing. I'm off it right now. Unless they start saying, once they say they're playing 9 innings, fine. I'll do a first 5 once in a while. But betting spring training is a pain in the ass too, isn't it?
Usually it is. But as long as you can beat the steam moves when lineups come out, or at least do certain things to get yourself more favorable. Try to figure out who's pitching for certain games, which information that you can find. That stuff matters as well. But this year in particular, no, it's been a train wreck. Yeah,
I think that I'm going to do a nice little write-up for the bet side for my futures bets.
Nice.
I'm excited about that, though. Rays making the World Series was my best call last year. Remember when I told you Houston was going to end up with 40 points in the first half? They're at 34 at the under 4 timeout. So, again, guys, chill out. Everything's cool. We're good. Little penny's going down today.
All right, but no, thank you everybody for popping in. We did talk through a bunch of the games. Obviously, took some questions as well. My best bet, Cincy over the full game at 138.5. Holden's best bet, Drake under the team total at 59.
Real quick. It's actually under 59.5. Now it's under 59.
Got it.
So you're going to have a strong lean. I think that point does concern me a little bit, to be honest with you. So if I wasted a pick just bragging about mine and then end up losing it, so be it.
But yeah, no, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. I think next week will be is next week Selection Sunday? I think so, right? So
next week is Selection Sunday.
There will be conference tournament finals next Sunday. There always is in the early afternoon.
Do you want to do a show after the announcement, or do you want to wait? We'll do one on Monday or something like that. I don't care about talking.
We could do it that Sunday evening. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do this Sunday show again because I do think there's going to be at least 4 to 5 conference tourney finals.
No, we got VCU, the VCU Bonnie's game. I mean,
there'll be all the Power 5 conferences final games will be that Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So we'll do that, and then we got the tournament selection show, and then we're gonna have to do some stuff with that.
Yeah, for sure. Throughout the next few weeks as well. Yeah. So ultimately, we're seeing a lot more of Holden and myself, more swinger party stories, hopefully, more Big Ten talk. Yes. But overall, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. As always, gamble responsibly and stay safe, folks. We'll see you.